Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Yes.
Final weekend of spring training, and we've got Saturday night baseball in Tampa, Florida. It's the 2026 Spring Breakout game, and yes, we've got the top dogs out. That's all those future Yankee stars taking on the future stars of the Atlanta Braves in the 3rd annual Spring Breakout game here on Yes. I'm Stephen Cusumano, joined alongside Joe Vasile for this 3rd annual Spring Breakout game. It's the Yankees and Braves future stars, led off by the guy who will be hitting lead off tonight, Joe, and that is the Yankees' top prospect, George Lombard Jr. And one of the Yankees' top stars on the mound, that's Kyle Carr, signing autographs for the fans ahead of the 2026 Spring Breakout game. Lineups and first pitch coming up right after this on Yes.
If it's possible for the Yankees minor league hitter of the year to go under the radar, that just might be true for Ben Rice. The sweet swinging lefty who splits his time between catcher and first base returned to Double-A to start the season, and he's looking to build off what was a massively successful 2023.
Here at the Double-A Somerset Patriots, Stephen Cusumano joined alongside Yankees catcher and infield prospect Ben Rice. And Ben, first and foremost, coming off a phenomenal 2023 season where you were the Yankees Kevin Wan Award winner. You were MLB Pipeline's hitting prospect of the year for the Yankees. So congratulations on all that. And first and foremost, also, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much.
Fast forward, you're a 12th round pick of the Yankees. What do you account from that time having your name called and just the whole process of becoming a New York Yankee?
Yeah, it was funny. My dad and I were together. I was playing on the Catuit Kettleers in the Cape League at the time. I got my early work in that day, and we knew the draft was going on and was going to start at like 12 or noon or something. So we needed to find somewhere to go. We went to the local library in Catuit, and we found like a random room in there to like sit down, and there was a librarian in there like watching my dad and I like frantically watch a screen on a laptop, like seeing different names come up. And every time the Yankees showed up, we'd like kind of lean forward, and it wasn't me in the 11th round. We're like, oh no. And this woman's probably wondering like, what the heck are these guys possibly doing? And then finally saw my name pop up in the 12th round. And I mean, it was just utter joy and excitement, just the culmination of 22 years going into the sport, and it was awesome to share that moment with my dad.
Now, when you reported to Tampa and you started getting your feet wet, playing some games, you weren't playing every day to start out with, but it wasn't really until last year, 2023-ish, that you were an everyday player in the Yankees minor league system. How did you get to that point? How did you kind of prove that you were a prospect that was maybe worth more than a 12th round pick and somebody that, again, is nationally ranked and recognized by a lot of scouts right now? Yeah,
I think it was just experience. I needed to get reps. I needed to keep playing. I mean, obviously, being shortchanged of two college seasons, I missed out on, a few hundred at bats right there in my baseball career. So I think like by the time I got to pro ball, I knew I was going to have to earn my opportunity, earn my way onto the field. So as I slowly started to get more reps and more reps, even though it was, like you said, only maybe once or twice a week at first, I knew that the experience was just going to keep adding up, and I was eventually going to make the adjustments I needed to. So yeah, towards the end of that 2022 season, I started playing a little bit more, started getting a little bit more recognition maybe. And then, like you said, in the 2023 season, I think everything kind of just accelerated from there, and I was able to capitalize on the opportunities I was being given.
And I feel like it's safe to say the breakout happened here at Double-A. When you joined the Patriots in July of last year, you had, I think, 4 hits in one of your first games at Double-A, which was in Hartford. What do you attribute that to, having such a strong start as soon as you got up to Double-A from the get-go?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just confidence, just like trusting myself, trusting all the work I put into it. I was coming off of, a tough injury, missing 2 months of the season there, and then I just kind of got thrown right into Double-A, and I think they were like, all right, let's see if this guy can do it. And I just told myself, all right, well, I know I can hit this pitching. I've faced our own Double-A pitchers in the spring. I know I can perform well. So by the time I got to the actual Double-A stage, I felt like hey, like I know I can do this. And it was just about trusting myself and letting everything take care of itself.
And your first week at AA was Austin Wells' last week at AA. And I feel like that's a good segue into the fact that there are so many good catchers in the organization with the Yankees from top to bottom. How much is that something that you think about? And just when you're in spring training, how much better do you think that makes you being around a group of catchers that's that talented? Yeah,
It's something that I appreciate in a lot of ways. We have so many good catchers who not only can swing it, but are also really good defensively. So being able to share the field in spring and during the season with a lot of really high-end catchers, I mean, it makes you that much better. It pushes you to be better. You watch the way that your teammates succeed, and you see the things they do well. You see the things that, maybe you can like take pieces of their game and add it to yours. And we have a really good culture with our catchers. We're always trying to work together to make us, known as the organization that like builds the best catchers.
Here at Yankee Stadium, Steven Cusumano joined alongside a former Somerset Patriot from literally last month, Ben Rice. Here at Yankee Stadium, life comes at you fast. How does it feel just to let that sink in for a second and think you were in Somerset a month ago and now you're at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you put it that way, right? I mean, it really wasn't all that long ago that I was over at with the Patriots, and it's pretty cool to be here.
I don't know if you know this too, but this was actually the week last year when you were called up to AA. So this time last year, you'd hardly played 30 games in the season, and coming off that injury that kind of set you back, do you just reflect on like how much you were able to do at the end of last season to this point now where you're impacting the big league club every day?
Yeah, I mean, last year was crazy for sure. I think, definitely gave a lot of momentum coming into this season. So to now be at this level and, being in the lineup and stuff, it's been awesome.
We saw so many incredible performances from you in Somerset, and it didn't take more than 2 or 3 weeks to see your first big league homer on the 4th of July and then a 3-homer game a few days later. Which one was more memorable?
I got to go with the 3-homer game. that was definitely something that I'll never forget.
What, like now that it's a couple weeks removed, what do you remember the most about it?
Probably just maybe the curtain call after, kind of, looking like a lost puppy out there, not really sure where to go. But luckily the guys kind of guided me in the right direction, got me to the steps.
And how special was it just to have your family here for that whole week, and especially the moments like that after your first homer and the 3-homer game, just to have them there with you every step of the way?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything, and they've been there every step of the way ever since I started playing baseball. So I wouldn't want it any other way than to have them here for that as well.
And just thinking about this time last year when you were called up to AA, you were primarily catching. First base is something that came along for you very well over the last year, but seeing as that was the avenue you took to get to this point, how far along do you think you've come as a first baseman from the last calendar year, I would say?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the improvements I've seen over there have been good, and it's really just focusing on the little things, just being a complete player over there, focusing on the details, and, the more in-game reps, the better. So, the more games I get under my belt at first base, the better I'll be.
And who are some of the guys that have really influenced you? Like looking back on your time in the minor leagues, when you see players that were veterans or whether it's certain coaches or coordinators, just thinking about what you've been able to take with you to this point, who are some guys that, as you look back, have really influenced you to be an everyday contributor at this point in the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, the guys that stick out the most are my teammates, right? 2 of my good friends, Ben Cowles, Bailey Dees, Spencer Jones, Max Burr. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, there's just so many great teammates that I've had that have not only, helped kind of, have that contagious good attitude and good mental approach to the game, but also guys who are very talented as well, and that rubs off on you too. So very thankful for all my teammates that I've had coming up.
Fenway Park this weekend, how much family is going to be there?
A lot. Probably too many to count, I'm sure. Family, friends, whatever. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people there, so I'm excited.
You going to stay at home?
Maybe on the off day I'll head over there, but I'm sure we'll be in a nice spot in the city too, so it'll be good.
Awesome stuff, Ben. Thanks so much. It's been great to see all the success, and we look forward to seeing it continue from this point.
Thanks.
MLB Plus is new for 2026. Stream MLB Network 24/7 and select out-of-market games every week, plus live radio broadcast of every game, Game Day 3D, Big Inning, and minor league action. Visit MLB.com/MLB Plus to subscribe today. Here we're in the Spring Breakout game. 2-2 score in the home third for Core Jackson. Jackson grounds the second pitch of the inning to first base. Flip it to Murphy covering the bag. Dixon Williams to Owen Murphy, couple Braves top prospects for the first out of the third. A lot of scoring early in this game. It kind of feels like the nerves have settled in a little bit. Jay Savina, right at the middle of the scoring, walked and came around his first time up. And Joe, we've talked a lot about some of the homegrown talents with the Yankees. We've not talked about some of those that were traded for by the Yankees, and that includes Jay Savina, who came in from the Brewers organization a few years ago, and suddenly he's one of the top outfield prospects in the organization.
Yeah, Jace has been such a really nice pickup in trades. A couple of years ago, was a standout player in the lower levels of the Brewers system. Yankees went and traded for him for Jake Bauers, sending him to Milwaukee, and getting Avina back. And what Jace has shown, playing a lot of center field and left field, good doubles power, starting to develop a little bit more home run power as well. And just one of those gamer type of guys who plays with such impressive passion too. I know you got a taste of it last year in Somerset, Stephen, but Jace has a little extra fire that he plays the game with, and it's one of those things that you can just see it making fans fall in love with him wherever he goes.
A 2-1, and Jace takes ball 3. Jace from out in Nevada, he's got all of his family and friends visiting for the spring breakout game today, so they're all watching right now here at GMS. Acquired for Jake Bauers, offseason between 2023 and 24. And he's run a full count now too. That really puts in perspective how important it is to be playing in this game too, Joe. The fact that he's got family flying in to come watch him play the last weekend of spring training. He ends up punching out looking here in this home third inning. Tomorrow afternoon, catch the last spring training game on Yes as the Yankees take on the Philadelphia Phillies here at Steinbrenner Field. Live coverage starts at 1 o'clock on Yes and the Gotham Sports app. And after that, the Yankees will head to Arizona for a couple of exhibition games against the Cubs, and then eventually fly to San Francisco for opening night. Almost there, almost made it to opening day as Kobe Morales digs in and takes strike 1. Arizona knows a thing or two about Kobe Morales. He was, again, in the Arizona Fall League and had himself a really good campaign after the regular season.
Yeah, really impressive. Hit .333 in his time with the Mesa Solar Sox out there after the year. And, you know, kind of a polished college guy, played at the University of Washington out at the time in the Pac-12. And just faced a lot of really top-notch baseball competition in college and hit, has come to the pros and hit. He's just one of those guys, you know, good bats always seem to find a way, and Kobe Morales is one of those guys.
It's a 2-2 count to Kobe. Still facing Owen Murphy, up past 60 pitches in the early going of this game. And Morales, like you said, from out in California, singled his last time up, and that brought home the Yankees' first run of the game. Ball 3 from Murphy. And for Morales, actually his home ballpark in the AFL was Sloan Park, where the Yankees will be playing their exhibition games this week. Rips this one into right field, a base hit, and Morales is 2 for 2.
Nearly identical hit, 2. Solid line drive through the right side. That one 109 off the bat for Morales. Didn't quite have the same trajectory as the first, but you hit the ball hard and good things happen. And Kobe Morales certainly with the ability to do that.
We've seen some hard hit baseballs by the Yankees prospects in this game. Off the Braves starter Owen Murphy, who's getting a visit right now before facing Garrett Martin, who he was the last guy that had a 109-mile-per-hour hit baseball. And that's something that they've kind of been preaching over these last several years in the Yankee system, Joe, is you always hear the mantra, hit strikes hard. Well, when you can consistently do that like Kobe did, and like we've heard a lot of good things from Garrett Martin in camp, you're going to stick around for a while.
And look, that's one of those things that extends even beyond the Yankees. That, you know, out of 30 teams, you're probably talking 30 organizations that are preaching trying to hit the ball harder, whether it's a focus necessarily on exit velocity and hitting certain targets, or just, hey, in general, you want to hit the ball harder. I think that's something that everyone's kind of looking for and going after, and then training in guys.
Boy, talk about the Arizona Fall League, Joe. Garrett Martin's a former Arizona Fall League home run derby champion. He had 10 home runs in 90 seconds 2 off seasons ago. That's when the Yankees probably knew they had something pretty special in that power bat. Morales, remember, stole second his last time aboard. So Murphy's going to check on him this time. Martin out of Stanley Lake High School in Colorado. We heard him referred to before as an athlete. Well, how about a state champion in high jump? Puts in perspective the athleticism on display. And, you know, Martin starting this game in center field. We saw it at Double-A last year, Joe. I'm sure you saw it in Hudson Valley as well. How impressive the athleticism is from Garrett Martin, and that pretty much puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a guy who was getting recruited as a track and field athlete out of high school, and, you know, had some looks, you know, from some very high-level schools like the University of Oregon. Ended up skipping around a little bit in baseball, started at Oklahoma State, ended up at Austin Peay, where the Yankees got him as an undrafted free agent after that year. And he's just been someone who you look at and you wouldn't necessarily say, like, oh, that's a guy with blazing speed and great athleticism, but that's exactly what Garrett Martin is.
He's drawn a full count now with Morales at first. Yankees prospects trying to take the lead here on the Braves prospects. And Martin, again, a guy that's turned a lot of heads during this year's spring training. We'll take ball 4. And so the prospects of the Yankees in business with Caden Kent coming up.
You know, and that's another aspect of Martin's game, too, is, you know, the on-base ability. If he can continue to improve in that regard, just gonna make him an even more potentially sneaky prospect within the system.
That's going to be the end of the line for Owen Murphy. 72 pitches deep here in the spring breakout game. In a 2-2 tie, a call to the bullpen for the Braves here in the spring breakout. Yankees Spring Training on Yes is brought to you in part by the New Jersey Lottery. Play the new Millionaire for Life game today. Anything can happen in Jersey. By your local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that expires. And by Citizens, made ready. Pitching change here in this third inning. Caden Kent's about to bat. We were talking before about the baseball family that he comes from. How about the soon-to-be Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, Jeff Kent, watching on with family? And, well, they're going to watch Caden bat here with a chance to give the Yankees prospects the lead, Joe.
Yeah, that's going to be such a special moment coming up for the entire Kent family in July, going up to Cooperstown for, frankly, the long overdue induction of Jeff Kent. I mean, what a player he was. And, you know, Caden a lot of times will look almost like a left-handed hitting carbon copy of his dad. And, man, if he could be a player kind of like that, that would be quite a special thing.
Caden walked his first time up and takes ball 1 here. The new pitcher for the Braves prospects is Roldy Munoz, 25-year-old from the Dominican Republic, who ended last season in AAA Gwinnett. Made his big league debut in September 2025. It's 2-0 to Kent.
And can hit triple digits, but the slider, that one that he just threw to Kent, that's his best pitch. That's Munoz's bread and butter.
2 balls, no strikes to Caden. Checked his swing. Kelvis Velez says he went around. We were talking before the game to Caden about the advice that he's gotten from his dad over the years, and he said one of the things is that baseball can be an unforgiving game. You spend your life trying to figure it out. And he said, my dad, a Hall of Famer, can't even figure it out. And that's been his message to Caden for a majority of his career. He bats this one in the air, deep toward left center field, sending Hartman back in the gap, but he's got it measured. and makes the catch to end the inning as the Kent family watches on here in the third. It's a 2-2 tie. The Braves and Yankees, top prospects, head to the fourth inning here in Tampa. Welcome back to Yankee Spring Training, presented by your local Ford stores. Legacies are proven on the field. Start yours in the legendary Ford Bronco, the official SUV of the Yankees. On a picturesque night here in Tampa, Florida, with Joe Vasile, Stephen Cusumano, and we're pleasure to be joined by the manager of the AA Somerset Patriots for 2026. That would be James Cooper. Coop, thanks for joining us.
Good evening, guys. I'm happy to be here, man. Appreciate it.
Well, you are also the bench coach for this spring breakout game, joined alongside Aaron Bossy, and we were just talking to him about the Manager Olympics and the fact that you outbenched everybody. How does that feel?
It feels good. You know, it put me back in the race and gave me a chance to, finish strong in that competition. But fell short to a really good dude.
I know obviously we've got Kyle Carr pitching here tonight. He had a front row seat to his special season in Hudson Valley last year. Just what's it like kind of getting a chance to see him now after kind of being along for the ride of last year with him?
Man, it was pretty fascinating to see, especially when you look at the rotation that we had there. All the guys were, different than they in their own right. But, watching Kyle be one of the guys that, didn't miss a start for us, posted, every time when it was time for him to go out there, and pretty much had a solid outing, every time that he was out there on the mound. And, of course, he earned a, promotion to Somerset, which, catapulted him to getting a big league camp invite this past year.
John Heel smokes one foul. Coop, I got to think that this has been so fun for your career to progress one level at a time, right? Where you're starting in the Florida Complex League, you manage in Tampa, then you go to Hudson Valley last year. You're kind of moving along at the same pace the players are. How gratifying is that to see them mature and grow as players and as people the same way that you are as a manager?
Well, the Yankees are in the business of developing players and coaches, and, I fall in that line where they are developing coaches, and I'm excited for and appreciative for all the opportunities they've been giving me thus far, and just trying to help, develop our players and get them where they need to be, and that's in the Bronx.
Yeah, and one of those players you've been with going back to the complex was, George Lombard Jr. Mm-hmm. You get to work with him potentially again this year in AA with Somerset, but what has it been like to watch George mature as a player and as a person over the couple of years that you've gotten to be his manager?
Well, I think if you look at the person that he is, that's an 80th grade character in George Lombard. His family did a really good job raising him, and he did a really good job of listening and applying those things that they taught him along the way. And we've been able to benefit from that as an organization, and looking at how his body has changed, how he's gotten bigger, faster, and stronger, and it's leading to watching him develop and from the head up has been really fun to watch.
John Heel draws the walk with nobody out here in this fourth inning. In the spring breakout game, Stephen Cusumano and Joe Vasile chatting with James Cooper, the soon-to-be manager of the Somerset Patriots at AA, and the previously manager of Hudson Valley Renegades, the high A team of the Yankees last year. And Coop, there's so many players in this game, looking at the infield specifically, guys like Core Jackson, Caden Kent, and of course Dax Kilby, new to the organization. You got to spend some time with that first group of infielders I was talking about. What were your first impressions of these guys new to the organization, already spending time in the advanced levels of the A-ball part of minor league baseball?
Well, they showed their flexibility. We've already had a couple of position changes, as you can see here, from Kent bouncing to third and now Core bouncing to short. I was able to see that firsthand in Hudson Valley this past season, and I think the sky's the limit for what they're able to do. Like, we got a ball on the field.
You want to double it up?
So just looking forward to seeing how these guys can develop and to see which position allows them to showcase their skills for us and also put them in a really good position to succeed, but ultimately put us in a real good position to win games depending on what level that they're at.
We've talked about a little bit since a couple innings ago, that throw that Brando made a couple innings ago. Just how impressive has he been to get to see a little bit this spring training over the last few years?
Yeah, that was a really good throw by Brando. That's one of his best ones I've seen, I can tell you that. And when that ball was hit, I was thinking that guy had first to third, pretty much, easily. But he made that way closer than I thought it was going to be. So, you know, hats off to Brando for it, and, you know, hats off to our outfield coaches who's been working with him to try to get him to, you know, develop the skills that he has so, you know, we can get him ready for his next step.
You know, Coop, talking more about some of the positional groups with this team. We've talked infield, we've talked outfield. Catchers are so young in this organization right now, and looking at somebody like Ediel Rivera behind the plate as Lodis drives one into right field. That'll dunk down for a base hit. He'll gets to second base. Throwing behind him, they almost were able to catch him at second base. But a couple base runners on to start this fourth inning. Catchers in this game still so young in the Yankee system, and you've gotten a chance to see some of them because of the progression you've made up the system. What can you say about some of the guys that the Yankees have cooking in the lower levels?
Yeah, man, you know, it was exciting to get Engel Urania to, you know, be promoted to Hudson Valley this past season. You know, he done a good job at Hudson Valley, and, you know, he earned that promotion. And he came up and finished the, you know, the tail end of the season with us and, you know, had a chance to, you know, play in some very meaningful games as we was trying to punch our playoff ticket as we were going head-to-head with Greensboro this past season. And, you know, you talk about another young catcher, the guy that we have in right now, Eddie Rivera. You see some of the throws that he's made, you know, to second base. And, you know, I think the sky's going to be the limit for guys like that. And as long as we can continue to put these guys in, you know, situations like they're in tonight, we think that's going to help the development to, you know, get them ready for anything that they may see, you know, as they start to, you know, ascend through these levels of minor league baseball.
Who have been some guys that have really stood out to you and some of the other coaches throughout spring training over these last few weeks, kind of leading into the start of the season?
Corey Jackson is one of those guys. You know, he stood out, you know, as an infielder, and, you know, Kobe Morales. I mean, of course, Kobe, you see the way he's swinging the bat tonight. And Garrett Morton has been also one of those guys that has had, like, some, you know, eye-piping at bats when you look at some of the home runs he's hit. You know, of course, he started the game in center field tonight, but we've also moved him to left, where he just gets the chance to kind of, you know, showcase, you know, his versatility in the outfield. But I would definitely say, you know, those three guys have had some really good spring training days for us here in, you know, Kobe Morales, Corey Jackson, and Garrett Morton.
Coop, something that fascinates me about minor league baseball in the Yankees organization is the importance sometimes of actually winning games. As Williams walks and the bases will be loaded here for Jose Perdomo. Minor league baseball, of course, the goal is a lot of times player development, but we just heard Bossy say to us a couple innings ago, you guys want to win this game. Why is that so important when you're in the Yankees organization to establish winning from an early point in these players' careers?
Well, you know, the Yankees do a really good job of getting guys prepared for the next level, you know, especially when you talk about the type of media market that, you know, the Yankees are in. You know, with the scrutiny that, you know, a player can get from, you know, not performing well in a game, you know, it's on social media the next day. So, you know, I do believe, like, our player development department does a really good job of getting those guys prepared for, you know, failures and then also, you know, life off the field, so to speak.
Got a mound visit here from Dimitri Kokoris with Kyle Carr. But, you know, Coop, it's so interesting when you think about last year. You mentioned kind of trying to make that playoff push against Greensboro the last week in Hudson Valley. How valuable experience in the development do you feel like that was to kind of have that, I don't want to say simulated, but that actual kind of playoff push toward the end of the season where, you know, these guys maybe in a couple of years going to be going through that in September in the Bronx?
Yeah, playing in meaningful games is part of, you know, player development. You know, of course, we didn't make the playoffs, but that last week, every game felt like a playoff game for the guys. So we do believe that's something that they can put in their hat and kind of, you know, hold as a keepsake to say, you know, I've played in some meaningful games throughout my minor league career. And, you know, we think that is a small fraction of something that can get them ready for, you know, playoffs in the Bronx. And, you know, ultimately, you know, it leads to us winning the World Series. So, you know, we would love for all of our come on, George. We would love for all of our – oh, no.
That ball dunks down, and it's going to give the Braves prospects the lead on a bloop single from Jose Perdomo.
Yep. We would love for all of our guys to get a chance to, you know, play in the playoffs at every level, you know, from FCL all the way up to, you know, AAA. It's definitely, you know, a chance, you know, to see those guys do those things.
Coop, last question from us. When it comes to creating that winning formula at the minor league level, we were talking before about this managerial Olympics, and I understand a part of that was a motivational speech that you had to make, and I know that you were the winner of that portion of the managerial Olympics. How did that go? How did you kind of think of a really good speech to get the players and the team all hyped up, hypothetically, of course?
Yeah. Well, it was so my speech was tailored around the Saints winning the Super Bowl in 2010. So the fact that, you know, I actually lived through that, and, you know, and I was a Saints fan, that's a good challenge for our catcher. He's 2 for 2 tonight, by the way. So, you know, the fact that I was able to, you know, actually be a part of that, you know, I was a part of the Saints in the down years. So it was, you know, it was pretty easy for me, since I think I just got a good draw. You know, sometimes in the Daytona 500, like, you just get a good starting point. You know, I had a good starting point, so to speak.
Did you like the onside kick start the second half?
Yeah, since we got it, I loved it. But, you know, I found out later that, you know, there's never been, well, before then, there had never been a onside kick recovered by the kicking team in the Super Bowl right after halftime. So had I known that beforehand, infield fly.
Hartman pops it up. Lombard's got it. Lodi's will not try to tag it third. Coop, here's a question for you. It's pretty straightforward in football. You've got halftime. You've got onside kicks. What would be the baseball equivalent of an onside kick?
Suicide squeeze. I mean,
you didn't even have to think about that.
Yeah, it's a given. Suicide squeeze. You know, it's for you to, you know, it's the sneak attack. You know what I mean? You know, it's a chance to, you know, catch the team off guard just as well as the onside kick. So I think that's the catch. I mean, that's the just drew a blank. I guess that's what's familiar with baseball. If you're looking for a comparison in baseball to football, look, onside kick would be the suicide squeeze.
That is the equivalent. Coop, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that the Somerset Patriots 2026 season ends like the 2010 New Orleans Saints one does, with a ring, right?
Absolutely, man. You said it best.
Thanks so much, Coop. Enjoy the rest of the game.
I appreciate it.
Once again, that was James Cooper, the manager coming up of the 2026 Somerset Patriots. As Burgess grounds one off the mound and skips into center field, rolls off Maea's glove. Lodi scores, Williams scores, Perdomo goes first to third, and in at second base, Colin Burgess has a 2-run base hit, and the Braves prospects take a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, just a little unfortunate there for Maea in center field. You heard James Cooper talk about some of the positional movement in this inning. He went from right field into center this frame and just overran it a little bit. Didn't get that far away, but enough for the extra base to be taken there by Burgess, and now a 5-2 lead.
So Aaron Bossie's going to come out to the mound and talk with Kyle Carr here with runners on second and third. It's going to be the end of the line for Kyle Carr. Yankees number 13 prospect couldn't quite navigate through trouble here in the fourth inning. 21-14 Harvard here early in the third quarter as the Tigers are down 7 points, but homecoming weekend here, and there is some royalty in the building for homecoming weekend. Former Princeton quarterback and 1972 alum Roderick Plummer was honored at halftime, the first black starting quarterback in Princeton football history, and his last 2 years with the Tigers threw for over 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. He was honored on the field at halftime, out there for the coin toss, and it's not just any matchup between Harvard and Princeton. This is the same matchup as 55 years ago, the first ever starting matchup between two black quarterbacks in the Ivy League, when it was Roderick Plummer for the Tigers and Rod Foster for the Crimson.